talking about the traits of autism I've experienced in the past and now. The other thing when I was a small child is that I did what's called pronoun reversal, where you basically use your name instead of saying I. And all children do this. This is quite normal, actually. I think most normal children, normal in inverted commas, go through a phase of doing this in toddlerhood. But it's not usual to still be doing it when you're like school age. Most like normal children would have stopped doing it by then. I'm not entirely sure when I stopped doing it, but I was definitely a lot older than what you're supposed to be when you. So basically, I would call myself by my name, as in Anna. I would say I as well. It's kind of like hit and miss, but yeah, my mum said she thought that was a bit strange, but she didn't know why, sort of thing, because she didn't really know much about child development and what's normal at what age and stuff. But yeah, I did do that. The other thing was that I tiptoe walked. Again, all children do that, or most children do that. I think up to, I don't know, toddlers do it basically, and then they stopped doing it. Whereas I did it all the way through my childhood, and actually carried on right through my childhood into my teenage years. And actually, I still do it sometimes, but it was mainly when I didn't have shoes on. So it was fine when I had shoes on, but when I didn't have shoes on, so barefoot or wearing socks, I would always be on my toes. And I just did this because it was natural for me, and the reasoning for it was that walking flat feet felt rather strange and also wobbly, which I didn't really think about because obviously you just do what's normal for you and you don't really think about it. But my mum drew attention to it, and when I tried to walk my feet flat on the ground, I was like, well, this is a bit uncomfortable and rather wobbly. No, I prefer walking on tiptoes, sort of thing. I can walk with my feet flat on the ground now without shoes, so it's not like what it used to be. Like I'm not quite so tingly or wobbly as what I used to be. But I still prefer walking on tiptoes when I don't have shoes on, and also it kind of varies, but I do, as a rule, prefer walking on tiptoes without my shoes on. Or when I'm wearing socks, it just feels more natural. But yeah, that was another, I guess you could call it, trait. What else? So yeah, so as I said, so when I was a child, the main issue, other than those issues around learning, whereby some of my skills were way ahead, namely reading. Reading and general kind of like word recognition was very good. I was reasonably okay at spelling and that sort of thing. Words in general, I could talk very well. I had a good understanding of language, and yet I had really crap comprehension, mainly for fiction and plot development, where I couldn't answer questions about why this person was thinking this, what was going to happen next, and stuff like that, because I didn't understand what was going on in the plot. So that was something that teachers picked up on, because they couldn't quite understand why I could read, and yet I didn't understand what I was reading, and also why I didn't understand numbers, and basically spatial awareness was really poor, and also PE difficulties in group games because I didn't know where I was on a court, didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. My reaction speed is very slow in group games. Eye contact, basically teachers noticed that, they picked up my eye contact was poor. They also said that I didn't have, my confidence was that I had low confidence at times. They picked up on the fact that nervous anxieties were developing, although that was later in my childhood, because actually, as a young child, I was pretty fearless, almost like unnaturally fearless, so that's quite strange considering I'm so anxious now. It's like I went from one extreme to the other, because I always assumed I was anxious right from the beginning, but I asked my mum about this. She said no, actually. She said when I was a toddler and like up till the age of about 4 or 5, I was really almost completely fearless. Like, I didn't have any separation anxiety. I wasn't actually scared of people. or anything. Like, yeah, I could just walk off basically, and didn't really care that I wasn't with my mum. Basically, I could just walk off, do my own thing. Yeah, basically pretty fearless, which and but happy though, very happy, very alert. I think that's why my mum, although she had these concerns, she didn't really investigate it because she thought, well, I'm alert and I'm very happy, so it's okay, sort of thing. That's what my mum said anyway. She said, yeah, she had these concerns, but I was also really alert and happy and energetic. And she put down, and in fact, I was really hyperactive, but she put that down just to like genetics, because like lots of her siblings were quite active, and her dad was active. So she just thought, oh, well, it's just I take after them, sort of thing. So yeah, but anyway, the anxieties developed in my childhood, but it was kind of like a gradual accumulation. So not nowhere near as bad as what they are now. They just got progressively worse over time, and they became particularly bad when I was a teenager. So most of my childhood, I wasn't too anxious, but I did begin to develop kind of like OCD-like behaviours from about the range of 6 or 7. But they were kind of like isolated incidents, mainly around perfection, and also when I was about, I do remember when I was about 5 or 6, I also had a thing about my hair needing to be absolutely perfect, and I used to often go, my ponytail, my ponytail, my ponytail, standing outside a shop. I actually do remember that because I was convinced my hair was coming out, and that was really annoying because I wanted my hair to be like, perfect in its ponytail and stuff. So again, these sort of like OCD behaviours kind of developed, but obviously that isn't, well, it kind of is related to autism in some respects because it's like this perfection thing. And then obviously the ones around germs, they developed probably around the age of about 7, 8, but they weren't too bad at that point in time. They were just sporadic. They didn't become really bad until about 9 or 10, but funny enough, they were like bad for about a year, and then they stopped for some reason. And around the age of about 10, they weren't quite so bad, and obviously they weren't as bad as what they are now. And it's more over just like very small things, like I had a thing that I was really scared about dog dirt because I thought it made me blind and stuff, because that's like what I've been told, so I took things literally as well. Oh yeah, I think it was when I was, and also being told to wash your hands before lunch, and also took that literally, and I didn't know how long you're supposed to wash your hands for, so that caused some anxiety because no one told you exactly how long, just that you had to do it, and I took it really seriously. And kids used to comment on it, like why I was taking so long to wash my hands. But it didn't really bother me, and it didn't make me unhappy or anything. So like I said, I was a very happy child, had a good childhood, and I didn't really think about it that much. I didn't really even realise I was different till about 10 or 9 or 10, and I started to think about it and become more aware of it, because I wasn't really aware until that age, which is probably just as well. But yeah, as I said, my main issue as a child, I guess, was the social interaction difficulties, although they were more apparent to other people because they didn't really bother me, and as a child, I didn't really think about it. It was just, I guess, more what other people noticed, but with my peer group. Yeah, also the other thing that you could say was the other thing, as I said, I'd already mentioned taking information the wrong way, was when I began school, when there was fire alarm practice, and for some reason I really believed that the school was going to go up in flames. I didn't realise that the fire alarm practice was just a drill, even though obviously we would have been told that. But for some reason I came to think that the school was literally going to go up in flames, and that when the fire alarm went off, this meant that the school was actually going to go up in flames. So this happened, I think, when I was in year 1, so I would have been about sort of 5 years old. For a time I was absolutely petrified about going to school. So I was screaming and not wanting to go into school. My parents didn't know why this was because I didn't tell them. And then eventually, I think they must have investigated it or something, or the teacher might have found out. They found out that it was because I thought the school was going to go up in flames when a fire alarm went off, that basically the school was on fire. So yeah, it must have been, maybe again they did explain it to me. So yeah, that was kind of taking things literally, I guess. But like I said, the main issues that they were aware of at school was mainly my learning problems and this massively uneven profile that no one could ignore, and that's why an educational psychologist was called in when I was 9, because they basically were quite concerned. I mean, they've been concerned ever since I started school, but it was only when I was in year 5 that a teacher finally got in an educational psychologist to do an assessment. But and they said I had all these problems. It's like I've got this report still. It's just endless saying what problems I have or had. And they said I needed all this support that the school should give, and the school basically did not provide nearly half of it, which was really crap. They should have done, but they didn't, because obviously it's all about funding, and they really don't give a crap. My parents didn't know what their rights were. I think maybe if I was growing up now, they probably would be more aware of their rights, but they didn't know what their rights were. You know, they thought I was getting more help than I actually was. So it was really bad. Like I said, they didn't diagnose me with anything at this point. They just simply listed all the problems. And I've since learned from other people that back in the 90s, they really didn't like handing out diagnoses at all. So it tended to be the trend back in the 90s, because I know from other autistics who later got diagnosed that they were just told, given a catalogue of problems. But I think things probably are changing now, actually, hopefully, because it's really not good enough. Because you know, it's not good just to be given a list of problems without being told what. You do end up thinking, what the hell's going on here, you know. But yeah, like I said, so as I was growing up, my main presenting issues were social interaction problems, spatial awareness problems, uneven skills profile, and taking some things literally, and perfectionism, basically walking on tiptoes, I've already mentioned. Yeah, loud noises, I didn't like fireworks, I was absolutely terrified of fireworks, and balloons going off and that sort of thing. I think my noise issues have got worse over time. As a child, it was more around specifically loud noises, like fireworks and things like that, and I was terrified of fireworks. But I think as I've got older, definitely some of my other noise issues have got a lot worse, but that might simply be that when you're a kid, you're the one who's creating a noise, and as you're an adult, you do tend to become a bit more introverted anyway and more aware of things, so that might also be that as well. So definitely sensory issues. If anything, my sensory issues have got worse as I've got older, which is not a good trend, but my social issues have become less pronounced, but that's more because I've learned how to mask, and also because I'm not faced with social situations as much. But I'm going to stop this video now because I'm going to carry on next time, so thank you for watching.